back. I know I'm looking a fright. Christine Byer here, licensed esthetician for 22 years, and I was rearranging my room a little bit and I hit my forehead on that monster. It's called an 8-in-1 device because it has 8 functions. I just grazed it. This was like last week. Anyway, I've been putting stuff on it, trying to fix it, but anyway, on this channel, we talk about your skincare journey, right? Because it's never one thing that makes your face look better. It's a whole combination of things. So today, I did some LED. I was trying to work on redness in my face. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten redder, and I'm not liking that very much. So I'm in the search for something that helps with redness. This month, we're actually talking about eye area irregularities and eyes, right? So this video I wanted to talk about the stuff that forms around our eyes. And I had a client the other day who had a skin tag just right here, and I'm like, I would go crazy if there was a skin tag right here. I would just go nuts. I'm like, can't you feel that? Let me get rid of it. And so I just pulled out my Thermalo, which is now called the Thermoclear. It's radio frequency, and it just dries it up, and then it falls off within 2 weeks, usually faster than that. But it's wonderful, and you can get little capillaries around the eyes. I have clients that have like little milia around their eyes, even sometimes in here or on the eyelid if they're particularly oily. And I will just take either a hypodermic needle or once again, my Thermalo for anything red, any sort of cherry, angioma, or broken capillaries and this sort of things, little pinpoint broken capillaries that form. They're very easy to get rid of with this. And I remember he's an older client. I think he still watches me. He's such a sweetheart. He's a body worker. He had all sorts of stuff growing around his eyes, like what they call senile warts, and they're just like these big fibrous, they're not cancerous, but they're not, they don't look comfortable at all, but they're just like these barnacles that grow on the skin, and you get used to seeing what's cancerous and what's not, what I can treat, what I can't. And then if I catch somebody that has something that looks suspicious, I will send them to their derm. But yeah, you don't have to live with moles and stuff on your eyes and fibromas and skin tags. They're so annoying, and what you need to look for is just somebody who uses a Skin Classic or the Thermoclear. There's a lot of different devices, the Lamp Probe. So a lot of different radio frequency devices that will just burn this stuff off, or just basically they're electrodesiccators, and they just dry it up and then it falls off on its own. So, and then when you do capillaries, you weld them so they disappear right in front of your eyes. The thing is, it's so hard for me to do my own because I freak out, right? And I wish I had a really good person close to me. I need to look that up. Yeah, so this video I just wanted to do a little chatty work your face with me. And my face is dry. I'm not gonna work this. I'm just gonna use the Microderm. I haven't used this in a few weeks. I love this little device. I thought I had the sensitive head on. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna use the sensitive head. So I'm gonna take off the normal head, just use the sensitive one. So I did this before I went to the Congress of Aesthetics, the International Congress of Aesthetics. And I haven't done it since then. I have such a bulbous forehead, this is hard, but you have to basically wait for and then I'm looking at my monitor, sorry, I'm not looking at you guys, but it's just such a weird, and so you can go over each area up to 5 times. There it goes. Oh. And yeah, that show was kind of fun. I didn't see a lot of new stuff, I think, but it was nice because everybody was back. Everybody's wanting education, and it's just nice to see that. I can't wait till that's gone. So I'm gonna go work around it. It's so hard to see this. I need a mirror. Oh, there's a mirror behind here. I'm in my, what I call my own dressing room in my little studio here, my skincare studio. I'm sitting on the little chair in my skincare studio dressing room. Oh, this is so hard to do. You need a mirror. You actually need a mirror. And I think I'm going to avoid those areas because they're redder. And I usually I see the buildup on my nose, and I see the buildup on my chin. Yeah, I really should hold on to the skin here. I hold on to my client's skin. I don't know, I'm not doing it to myself. Like once you feel it engage, then you move it. Yeah, so I was really just concerned with my forehead. I thought it was looking sort of ratty. So yeah, the skincare show, I'll show you some highlights of stuff I was seeing. Nothing really mind-blowing, but it was okay. It was just good to be back with everybody. And then I discovered, much to my chagrin, that the skincare show is like forever going to be near O'Hare Airport. It used to be downtown, and I was like, wait, it's by O'Hare now, like permanently, at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. I was a little miffed by that, because going to the Chicago skincare show used to be like so fun, because it was at McCormick's Place, McCormick's Place, which is downtown Chicago. It's like the largest convention space in the US. I mean, the place is gigantor. It was fun. For me, it was fun. Now, I think that's all I'm going to do with this. For me, it was fun, but that's just not the case anymore. It's just by O'Hare. And then they asked me, and I was so honored, they asked me to be a judge at the Skin Games for 2023. And I thought that was so cool. I'm all excited. So I was in the Skin Games in 2016, and if you're an esthetician, you don't know about the Skin Games, check into it. It's sort of a bucket list thing. You have to do it once at least. And I placed in the anti-aging category, and then People's Choice Awards. I got in the People's Choice Awards. So it was fun. If you're an esthetician and you haven't checked out the MBK radio frequency, this combines RF and infrared and is fabulous. If you're a layperson, I'm sorry, we can't sell this to you because people would melt their skin from the inside out. This is a strong, strong device. I mean, it looks innocuous, but it's strong. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I was just really pleased to be asked to be a judge, because when I was in it, it was so intimidating, because it was all these what they called skincare luminaries, like owners of major skincare lines and professional brands. And it was intimidating. It really was. And we had to go in front of this panel of judges, and they just drilled us with questions, and you realized what you weren't good at very quickly. Because I used my mom as my model, and this is before Neogenesis. I think I was using Image Skincare, which is a solid line, but I wasn't getting the results I get now. And so my mom, she's a gardener. She spent a lot of time outdoors then, because she had her own house. Now she's moved into a senior living place, over 55, and so she doesn't really have a garden, sadly. But man, she used to work like whole days out. She had no business working that hard at her age, but I hate to say that, but yeah, she wouldn't drink water, and I'm like, Mom, you're gonna get dehydrated and pass out. And lo and behold, she did once. But so she had some sun damage. I mean, she still does. It's better. It's way better, because she's been using her Sculptra and her Neogenesis. It is so much better, and she's staying. She's not in the sun as much as she used to be. So in my before and after photos, the pigmentation wasn't great. She still had pigmentation. She looked better as far as wrinkles and stuff, but she still had plenty of pigmentation. And DMK, they're a good long too. They're the Danae Montague King. He's like as old as my mom and looks rockin'. He looks like he's in his 40s or 50s. It's amazing. He's very well preserved, and he's a flamboyant guy and just a little bit intimidating. And so they wanted to make the judges sort of more representative of the field. And so they wanted people that worked on clients every day, you know, that took classes, that maybe taught classes, and, you know, just a better representation of the field. And I don't know, I'm honored to be chosen. And what else? Yeah, the show was fun because I ran into the right people, and I think I'm probably doing this too fast. I've only got 10 minutes with it, so yeah. So did you guys see all this month's eye stuff? We've cleaned out the eyes, we released the eyes. I've had some good feedback from estheticians saying it's very helpful when working on their clients, and the clients always come back because of the eye work that she does to them. And that I taught her some new stuff, and I love that. I mean, I really wish I had somebody to teach me this kind of stuff when I first became an esthetician. Granted, I went to a lot of classes, but the machines weren't as big a thing back then. I mean, I had my 8-in-1, and first thing I got in 2003, I think it was 2003, I got a Microcurrent, and then I got an LED in 2001. So that was all we were working with, and that was considered, you know, ahead of its time. If you had LED and microcurrent, you were considered like cutting edge. And now I'm hoping most estheticians work with some sort of technology. I mean, granted, you can get a lot of results with just your hands, but add energy to the mix, and wow. So yeah, I really wish I would have had my YouTube videos back in the day. Now next week I'm traveling to Bozeman, Montana, which should be very interesting. That's where Schedulicity is headquartered, and so I'm meeting up with my skincare group. For those of you who don't know, I belong to the Beauty Biz Club, and that is run by Lori Crete, and she practices in Palm Desert, California. She was in LA for the longest time. She has a very interesting story that she was a flight attendant for a long time, and then 9/11 happened, and she's like, I can't do this anymore, and went to beauty school. So yeah, she runs it, and I'm in her group, and it's business coaching, and we learn about all sorts of stuff. She has guest speakers, and you know, we're always talking shop. So I learn a lot when I go to these things. We meet twice a year in person, and so instead of having it in Vegas or making us go to Palm Desert, which, you know, both places are beautiful. Vegas, I'm not a huge Vegas fan, but yeah, us East Coast girls, or us Eastern or Midwestern girls, always have to go out west. But I don't mind going to Bozeman. I think it's going to be interesting. And you guys will be so proud of me, I actually gave myself an extra day. I usually fly out there and then fly right back, which is ridiculous, right? It's so much work, and then hit the ground running when I get back to Indiana. And so it's like, this time I think I'm going to stay. And Yellowstone National Park is like an hour away. So I'm like, I'm staying. So I'm staying an extra day, and I'm going to go hiking and see the sights. And I'm so proud of myself for doing that, because life isn't all about work, right? Although, I mean, I love my work. And usually, gosh, after seeing all those gals, it's just like a love fest, you know? And it's a cheerleader fest, because everybody wants you to do really well, and it's nice. It's nice being with that supportive community. It's called the Beauty Biz Club. That she has 2 levels. One is sort of a beginner or newer esthetician level, and then I'm in her expansion group. So a lot of us have been with her for a good long while, and we talk about business strategies and all sorts of fun stuff. But we also drink wine. After class, the wine starts. That's right. So excited about that. What groups does everybody belong to in here? Because I'm saying, as you get older, gosh, it's just harder to have a social network unless you really put yourself out there, because you're not going to school anymore, right? So who are you going to see? I'm doing some vectors here. So vectors cut across areas of common facial aging. So yeah, what groups do you all belong to? I tend to do mostly esthetician type of stuff, but I feel like I want to be in some sort of other group. I mean, I've done 12-step, ACOA, Al-Anon, because my dad was an alcoholic and all sorts of other crazy stuff. He was the proverbial dam that you plugged up and then four or 5 other holes sprouted open. So I've been a big proponent of 12-step groups. Al-Anon is for friends and family members of alcoholics. And then ACOA is adult children of alcoholics. And I recently started going to, and they're only telephone meetings here, but it's called Sexual Incest Anonymous, it's a beautiful program. I mean, the steps, everything is so gentle and loving, because if you grew up with childhood sexual abuse, you need it, trust me. So I've still been dealing with that. I've been feeling better, you guys. And I've realized I'd had these breakdowns all my life because I never really dealt with the childhood sexual abuse. But to be honest, I didn't even realize it had happened to me until I was 38, 39. That's when it came out. I got really sick. I lost all this weight. That was nice. But I got really sick. I couldn't eat. I had really bad heartburn. I had to sleep sitting up. It was horrible. And they put me through the ringer. Like, I did all these tests. I had to swallow this radio transmitter that recorded the amount of acidity through my digestive tract. It was nuts, all the stuff I went through, all the tests and trying to get this healed. And I don't know if you've ever had hardcore heartburn. It's just freaking miserable. And then finally it came out. I think I was meditating or crying or praying or something, and it came out that, what about your dad? And it all made sense because he was always after my oldest sister. She has a different dad. It's a long story, but turns out 1 out of 3 women are sexually assaulted before they turn 18, and 1 out of 6 or 7 men are sexually assaulted in some way before they're 18. And I'm like, those are horrible statistics. Horrible. So I know I'm not alone. I think I'm going to do some microcurrent. Yeah, so I'm absolutely not alone in this. And I realize, I do a lot. I'm doing a lot to recover right now, because they say if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. And that's what happened. Something about, they say when you feel safe and your body feels like you can deal with it, it will surface. And so I think it's tried to surface other times. And I dealt with it, a little when it all came out, but there's just so much, especially if it's repetitive. I think it causes complex PTSD, which is fun. So, no, it's not fun. So when we went to Cancun over Christmas, and I got so triggered by Corey and Sienna's interaction, because they get along like oil and water. There's nothing sexual or crazy going on in our household, whereas where I grew up there was this awful sexual undercurrent that was just not appropriate, shouldn't have been going on. But that's, the 70s, 80s, early 80s. There was no internet, no support, no 12-step groups that my dad would ever have gone to. He didn't think he had a problem. It was what it was. And yeah, so something triggered me, and then I went like on this, I got really drunk one day. It was all-inclusive, and I asked them if they had like nice, high quality. I said, I don't want anything. I want like de lujo. I said, luxury, And so they brought me like, maybe I told you guys this story. They brought me like 6 shots. And I told Corey, I said, you got to do one of these with me. This is ridiculous. And then they kept bringing more. And it was not pretty. And Corey's like, I don't like this. I'm kind of dizzy. Because Corey's like, when I met him, he's like, yeah, I don't think I've ever been drunk. I'm like, you've never been drunk. You went to college, right? So, yeah, but he just usually drinks beer. He's a big guy, and he does not like the feeling of being out of control. So, yeah, it was not a pretty day, and I felt really embarrassed, and I apologized to Sienna because she was mad at me. I don't drink like that. It was gross. Anyway, we were on vacation and stuff, but I was just definitely acting out because I was triggered by how they get along. Sometimes Sienna's 11, she has no common sense, and I shrink into, I wasn't 53, I was 11 again, and oh God, I always fought with my dad. I just hated him so much, and I didn't know really why, because I had buried those memories, because it happened when I was younger, and I had just buried them. So it got triggered then, and I'm like, holy crap, I guess I got to work on this, because I started crying every night, and I was like, okay, something is up. So I got in therapy. I started attending SIA phone meetings, which was hard for me because those are hardcore. But I think, well, they're not really. I mean, not everybody is bad. People are worse than me, and others are better than me as far as, and some are healing and healed and not healed. I don't think you ever heal from this, but people are further along in their healing journey than me. So I went, and because people like they split off into different personalities even, and then I'm like, okay, well, God, thank you for this shift in perspective, that I'm actually lucky that that hasn't happened to me, because it's crazy. Oh no, that's a bad word. It's just diabolical how it affects a person. It's like glitter, it just layers and layers of it, and you just find more and more, the gift that keeps on giving. So yeah, I'm getting through it, and it is a relief to know that, this treatment resistant depression that I've always suffered with, that comes in spurts. Like when we lived in a house in Texas, every 2 years I had some sort of major depressive episode. Something happened, like the time I got sick, right when I got pregnant with Sienna, it happened. And then when we first got there, so and at the end I got so sick that Corey had to pack up the house. I was here, he rented it out, and he moved us while I was here, sort of recovering. I had to have electric shock therapy. It was such a horrible time. I just didn't even know if I would ever get back to my normal self. I was just catatonic. And it all stems from the sexual abuse as a child, the incest. And of course, of course, you know, it just boggles the mind, the depth of it. Just boggles the mind. So if it's happened to you and you want to share, because I feel like I didn't want to talk about it for the longest time, but now let it out, because in secret it festers. So yeah, I love using 2 minis. They're so helpful. It's so fast. If you've never used microcurrent and you're still watching, microcurrent adds energy to the skin and it helps speed up cellular turnover. It detoxifies the skin, it energizes the skin, and it works first on the muscles, and then with time it will thicken up the skin. But even though you don't feel it, like this is not electrocuting me, I don't feel any sort of current, it tenses it works on the muscle fibers, and so you will look and that's why I started studying it, and I was like, I want to get the best results possible. This was early 2000s. I'm like, I want something that's going to go deeper than just massage and peels, and I want something that's going to really refresh the skin. And that's kind of the question that estheticians ask themselves every single day. It's like, how can I make my client's skin better? And I was on a mission. I still am. You just always are. But yeah, microcurrent, it's like, a device that feels good to the client, that works the muscles and thickens up the skin, helps with pigmentation, makes the pores look smaller. I remember Jane Mann talking about how she did a series on a gal who'd had pretty major acne when she was younger, and I guess this gal was in her 50s or above, and she did a series of 20 on this gal, facial contouring, massage, and microcurrent, and at the end she didn't get the lift she was expecting. She was kind of shocked, but like the body had decided to improve her acne scars, and so the client was like, yeah, but look at my acne scars, they're almost gone. So microcurrent is fascinating to me. It lends energy to the skin to help it repair itself no matter what's going on. So I should go like repair this current between they actually use this microcurrent on stuff like this, injuries. It's called frequency specific microcurrent, where you can heal stuff up in the body. Yeah, frequency specific microcurrent. So this is running through a whole bunch of different frequencies all the time, so you don't have to set it, or you just don't have to worry about it. Sometimes I'll flip upside down, like before I do my hair, and I'll, like when you flip upside down to give your hair some body when you're blow drying it, you can do the same thing with your devices. I did a video on that. You flip upside down and you do your face. Don't do your neck upside down because it needs to drain. And don't do your neck, but you can do this upside down. These moves, you can do your eyes and come back up, because I have the benefit of gravity when I'm working on my clients, so it helps. At this point, I'm just going to sort of splash off any excess, or you can take a warm wet towel and wash off any excess, and then I'm going to put on a really hydrating moisturizer to seal this all in. So thanks for listening to me chat. And once again, if you're a member of any groups that you're just loving, social groups or business groups or whatever, drop me a comment. I'd love to know. Just tell me where you're all at and what you're doing. Thanks for watching. Bye now.